and welcome everybody to Knowles on the News. So glad that you could be here for the taping of the show today. Lot to talk about. First off, we want to say that our thoughts and our prayers go out to Houston. And now on to Louisiana and everybody else in that area who has been affected by Hurricane Harvey and are continuing to see horrible times ahead. I know for some people who are still out of their homes. Some good news in the area is that some people in Katy, Texas, I know, have been allowed back into their homes. I guess the waters actually receded last night, which is a really good sign. But I think that, people definitely are not out of harm's way. And we're continuing to see people really step up and do an incredible job. We've seen the true spirit of America coming out. It's something that the mainstream media really hopes is never shown and hopes, I guess, that people forget that this is how people are. I mean, I tell you, we've even seen people who have who've gotten upset with mainstream media. CNN, for one. There's this woman who had her children there, obviously suffering. She was in a shelter, had finally reached there. And, of course, CNN wanted to get, the big scoop. So basically puts a microphone under her face and says, hey, start talking, Not exactly that way, but that's the intent. And so she did, and she finally said, I don't know why you people are here doing this, why you're so interested in what's going on. Basically saying, why don't you get out there and help? Good point. Absolutely good point. And I think that the person just decided, the person who was interviewing her probably thought, okay, it's probably time for me to move along now. This isn't a good place for me to be. This isn't a good situation, and I can see these people are hurting. I will say that a lot of people, have stepped up, and as we all expected Texas to do. They don't just say, God bless Texas, and talk about Texas in such a positive light for no reason at all. Texans really epitomize what it's like to be an American stepping up and helping other Americans. Americans who don't stand and wait for the government to come and say, hey, I can help you, but who actually say, you know what, we got this. We love each other and we're helping each other. And if you watch the videos of people who were there, I mean, it didn't matter about skin color that the mainstream media would have us believe is what everybody is concerned about. It's not. Texas showed us that. Texas continues to show us that. And you saw black men helping white men and children, white men helping black men and children and women. I mean, every race helping every race. Nobody was concerned about, what color you are or what your political beliefs are or anything else. And basically, isn't that the way that you and I know that it is? We see this all the time in Americans, but when the mainstream media comes out, they want you to think that's absolutely not the truth. That every day, constantly, we're thinking, oh, wait a minute, you're not my race, so I can't talk to you. Or you're not my race, so I have to hate you. Whatever the case may be. So remember this, as they continue to, mainstream media continues to try to make you believe that. Know for yourself what the truth is. Look at Houston and know for yourself what the truth is. People who are going out in boats to get people who are waist deep in water all day long trying to rescue people. People that don't have to do that. These aren't the paid rescuers. These are people who said, you're a human being, I'm a human being, and I'm going to help you. And, people who are risking their lives to save animals, thank God, as well. And they're literally going out into this rapid flowing water and rescuing dogs off the top of cars and trees because the water has gotten so high up, they're somehow gotten into the trees. I mean, it's amazing to see people pull together. And this is really, as I said, this is really who we are and who we've always been and who we always will be in America. But it's that small percentage of people that ruin it for everyone. It's that small percentage of people that we seem to somehow, focus on, and who we think that's, who they want us to believe that is America, and it's not. I mean, I've seen so many. Yesterday, I was watching so many. This pastor, a Hispanic man, I believe, who was going in and out of houses, carrying people, putting them into the boats. Another pastor, an African American man, who was diving down into the waters to make sure that there weren't people somehow still alive in, let's say, a van and had a breathing space. And people who were, Fox News people, a man who was walking in the waters, interviewing people, but caring and showing his concern for people while this was going on. It was absolutely amazing to watch. People who hadn't slept probably in days. It was so funny. There was they had a news conference down there. And one man, I can't remember if he was a fire chief or one of the police chiefs. I just don't remember. But it was obvious that the man has been under total stress for days. And, you wouldn't expect anything less out of somebody who's probably hasn't slept at all. And he walked up to the podium, and there was a man behind him who was doing the sign language. And he stops what he's saying, and all of a sudden he turns around and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so tired." He goes, "I thought the guy was mocking me." And it was hilarious. It was kind of a light moment. Everybody had a chuckle about it. And the guy who was doing the sign language, patted him on the back because he knows, again, the guy hasn't slept. And it was good to see, that people could do that didn't have to sit there and worry about political correctness, that it was just a human being talking about his feelings and thinking that something was mocking him when of course it wasn't. But it was nice to see that, again, that people could just be people. And, Houston is going to have a long recovery. We've seen so many people going down there now and are really trying to help them. We've seen the veterans, the homeless veterans from Arizona, the veterans on patrol going down there, loaded up as many trucks and cars as they could, went down there, been helping in the rescues, been working with the people down there, the fire department, the police department, going out and doing it right. And we've seen others, Bass Pro Shop coming down there with their boats. Outdoor World coming down there with everything that they had to help people. Actors and actresses getting on board and giving to them. Kim Kardashian gave $500,000. Sandra Bullock gave money to the Red Cross. Another football player gave money to the Salvation Army. People asking, who can I donate to? I donate to mercury1.org. That's mercury1.org. It's mercury1.org. Because they say that every dime goes to the people. Nothing is for the admin or anything else. It goes right, your donations and the money that you give go right to the people. And that's what I want to see. Nothing taken out of it. But we have seen other people that, you can't quite be so sure where their hearts and their minds are. For example, article I did at susanknowles.com in regards to Best Buy. There were pictures that were posted in this one Best Buy store of them selling cases of water, different prices. One like $29 for a case. The other one's $40-some for a case of water. And of course, that's called price gouging. But Best Buy said, no, that's not what it is. What happened is we don't usually sell water by the case. So our people were just trying to determine how much that water would be if we sold it individually, which we do. And they came up with that price if you wanted the whole case. Well, that's just crazy. But okay, Best Buy, if that's what you want us to believe, you know, we'll go someplace else for our water, right? But I do like the fact that some of the places, there's a mattress company down there that opened up their doors with all their mattresses. You know, they didn't worry. I think people at this point can be giving out water for free. There are people who are doing that. Patriot Supply, who also gives out, you know, a lot of prepper type things. They're handing out food for free. I mean, it goes on and on with the goodness of people and the goodness in their hearts that we're seeing all over. A few bad apples, we always get that in every group. You know, we're seeing people that are going through and looting, going into stores, going into people's homes at their worst and lowest times and taking out their property. Some people have been shot and killed for doing that, going into homes that they thought nobody was there so they could loot. You know, those people, those are the people filled with evil. There are always going to be people like that who are spiritually dead inside. But we can't look at that and say, well, that represents all of us, because it absolutely doesn't, and I know you know that. I really like the fact that in Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, it came out yesterday, they've posted warnings to people, to the looters and the thieves and the burglars, saying, you know, if you get caught victimizing the area's residents, you're going to be serving mandatory jail time. And there's not going to be any leniency or probation. They've said, you know what, that's off the table. If you're going to be like that, you don't deserve leniency. You deserve to go to jail. And they also have put a curfew in place from 10 o'clock at night to 5 in the morning. And I think that's probably something that unfortunately needed to be done. You know, we have people out there who are trying to save lives, and the last thing that you want them to have to do is focus on people who are trying to take from others. And again, it's a shame to see people like that, and they try to ruin it for all of us, but they don't get very far. And that's the good news. They don't get very far. We also had a whole thing yesterday with, you know, President Trump. Some people in the mainstream media, he's going too early. Some people, he's not going soon enough. Some people, why is he going and interfering in Texas? He's just going to get in the way. Well, that turned out not to be true, of course. He went down to Texas. People loved to see him. People who had probably lost everything were standing lined up ready to see the president because they got encouragement from him. He held up the Texas flag. Everybody was cheering. They loved it. And he should have gone there. It was the right thing for him to do. He didn't get in the way. You know, he didn't go and stop the traffic or anything else. You know, he did a great job, and he got back on the plane, and he got out of there. And he's going to go back, which is great. I think that he should go back. It's something that the people there in Texas will appreciate. And I think they've appreciated, too, how fast, you know, that the government is working down there and trying to help them. But in all of that, you know, mainstream media, they can't help themselves. They really can't. They hate this president so much and the good that he's doing that every opportunity they have to come out and say something. And so what do? Well, Melania Trump, the first lady, she wears stiletto heels. God love her that she can do that. I don't know how she does it, but she looks great in them. She walked out to, you know, go to Air Force One. She had on a jacket, a black shirt, black pants, and stiletto heels. And what happens? The first thing, oh my God, media comes out, social media as well. You're not going to be wearing those shoes, are you? You're wearing those shoes to Texas? Oh my gosh, those aren't the shoes that you're supposed to wear. Well, of course, she's not going to wear those shoes down in Texas. That's what she wears every day. And once she got into the plane, she and the president both changed clothes. Why? Because they were smart. They knew probably when they went to Texas that, one, they needed better shoes. You know, clothes that was okay to get dirty. They possibly get dirty down there. You know, there is a flood, and near the area where they were going could have gotten dirty there too. So they were prepared. And actually, I'm sure their people put everything on the plane for them because they don't have to do that type of thing. And so when they got off the plane, of course, the First Lady looked amazing, as always. She had changed into a black cap that said FLOTUS on it. The president had a USA cap on. She had changed her shirt. It was now a white shirt. I think she kept on the same pants. And then she had on tennis shoes, sneakers, whatever you want to call them. Both of them were very appropriately dressed. And I really don't care. I think that the people of Texas would have cared if she had worn stiletto heels when they came out and greeted them. I really don't think it was a high priority for them. Really, I mean, when your house is gone, when you've lost relatives, when you don't have the same comforts of home and may not have food, and you're worried about people, I think the last thing that you're going to think of is that the FLOTUS was wearing high heels. I don't know. Maybe just me, but I don't know. And I've been in situations like that where we had a fire in California, 2 fires that I've been in, unfortunately, where we had to evacuate animals, people, horses, even with the animals, everything, and be totally evacuated from your home and not get back in with close to about a week. So I know the last thing on my mind, if somebody had shown up in high heels, I would have thought more power to them. At least you have your high heels. I was more worried about, did I have a home, something to go back to? Was I going to get a meal somewhere, What about everybody else? What were their needs? What do they need? So I don't think the people of Houston really, really were worried about that. And we even had one, New York Times fashion critic. She was too busy, I guess, to go down to Houston, maybe. I don't know. Maybe she went. Maybe she donated. But she had time to say that that the FLOTUS's outfit was really a costume. And of course, she didn't like the high heels. Good for you. I mean, seriously, good for you. Go back, do your job there in New York. I don't think that people of Texas really care about your opinion, but, that's just me. I mean, amazing. But as I was saying, Houston is going to have a long time to recover. There are people who are saying, the water there is some receding going on, but I guess it's very humid there. There are, water's not seeping into the ground, and really there's probably no place for the water to go as high as it is. So they're saying that, it's going to take a lot of time to get that water to recede. And then also another problem, another issue for those people is black mold. Eventually black mold is going to start coming into the homes, if there are homes that, anything's left over there. And they're going to need help that way. There's also psychologically, mental health is an issue here. And I know that Israel has sent people over to kind of help with the psychological impacts of what's going on. So Israel's involved. Mexico, I understand, has sent supplies and things like that, which is really good. We need that. But the people are going to need, people on the ground in Houston are going to need people to help them after the rains have stopped, after the flooding has stopped, to try to get back their lives. Because look at it, everything in their homes, pretty much, if it's wet, it's destroyed. Carpeting, the furniture. I've been in a flood situation like that. It destroys everything. And we're not talking about they're getting a little bit waterlogged. It came on just a little bit up on the couch. No, we're talking about entire rooms filled with water, of furniture that these people will never get back. They're things that were precious to them, the pictures that they had of family members that they don't have copies of, things like that they irreplaceable. So they're going to need people to step up and be praying for them, be sending them donations, be giving them what they need. And I'm sure that some of the people They're going to relocate. I mean, it's sad that a lot of those people came from Katrina and came from Louisiana and thought, I'm just going to go over to Houston. It's drier over there. It's safer over there. And yet when they got to Houston, now this happens. And of course, these things don't happen that often. And this is what, 12 years since we've had a hurricane like this, which is probably going to be deemed the largest and worst in Texas history. But it does happen, and you can't predict where to go to get away from something like that. So these people will try to move on and leave. I think most people are going to rebuild. But why? Because they're Texans. Why? Because they love where they live. This is their home. Their families are there, and they love their neighbors. And it's good, again, to see. This is neighbor helping neighbor. And they're grateful for the help that they're getting. I've seen people telling people, how grateful they are for everything that's happening. And it's, again, it's nice to see that. And it's nice to see people who, have the American spirit. And, I just think that other people, they're worried about the politics. People outside of Houston are worried about the politics. For example, LA Times. They're worried that Hurricane Harvey may actually help the president. I did say that. They're worried that it's going to help the president, that it's going to make him look too good, that it's just going to go against what the liberals need, and so we're in trouble. Meaning they're liberals. I mean, when I read that, I could believe it. I didn't want to believe it. But again, we know that no matter what President Trump does, he could do no right in the eyes of these people on the left. And I say these people, it's not all Democrats, don't all think like that. It's the very liberal left, the communists, the elites, whatever you want to call them. They're the ones that could take something great and turn it into something horrible. And we even had Fox News, Ari Fleischer, the former George Bush press secretary, and CNN's Jeff Zeleny, I don't know who he is. Both of them said that President Trump didn't show enough empathy in Texas. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the measure of empathy is and what they're referring to. I don't know if it meant he should smile less, not smile at all, smile more, get down into the water, not get down into the water, hug people. And perhaps they wanted you to think that it was, okay, go there, hand out food, do that type of thing, get involved. See, I don't think he was going for a photo op. And I think people in Fox News and CNN, they're used to the Obamas coming in, the Bushes perhaps coming in for a photo op handing out food. And a lot of times when they're doing that, they're in the way of those people who are trying to do their jobs. And I think this president, he may come back and do that on Saturday. I don't know. I don't know, again, if that's the empathy that they were talking about that he needed to show that these two felt that he didn't show. Whatever the case may be. Again, this president cannot do anything that these people are going to like. It's just never going to happen. But I tell you, we should just, and I think a lot of us are already there, just know that the attacks against Trump are always going to be there, and work around them. Ignore them. Go beyond them. Do something else. Because they don't want the attacks to stop. They need to be able to put him down, right? And the mainstream media has very much been a big part of that, probably the largest part. And they've done their jobs to do that. Well, I think we're starting to see a little change in that. Now, I know that's going to sound funny, but let me tell you what I mean by that. In a lot of respects, I see part of the world, and a lot of it is upside down. Now, why do I say that? Well, the other day when Harvey started, there was some talk on Twitter that Pastor Joel Osteen of a mega church, he had about 16,800 seated mega church. There was talk that he had kind of closed his church doors, and people were saying you really should open the doors, let people in, and this is what a church should do. A lot of people were, anti Joel Osteen. A lot of people were pro Osteen. And what I did is I wrote an article about what people were saying on Twitter because it was trending. So I really didn't give an opinion one way or the other. I just wrote an article about what was being said. So when I posted the article, and it was on my website, I got a few attacks from it. Some people who thought it immediately I was anti-Joel Osteen, or they really didn't care. That's what they made me to be because it served their agenda. I will have to say that in a particular Facebook group, and it was a Christian group, it was where the worst attacks came. And I was a little surprised by that, really was. Now, I can understand, I was called probably every name in the book. I'm a Christian. I was told that I wasn't a Christian. I'm conservative. I'm told that I wasn't conservative. I was finally told by one person, you're not welcome in the group. We've decided. Of course, that person wasn't an admin or anything, but that's, that's where emotions went, is what I'm saying. And, as it turns out, probably Joel Osteen could have just communicated better, and there probably wouldn't have been any problems, even anything trending on Twitter. I know people were, supporting him, saying, oh, but look, the church is flooded, when other people were saying, no, the church isn't. Here are these pictures. So it went back and forth. I really don't care, to be honest with you. I really don't care. If Joel Osteen wants to do the right thing and open up his church, great. If Joel Osteen can't do the right thing and open up his church because it's flooding, great. I really don't care. But apparently, it's off limits to talk about a pastor these days or anybody that's connected with anything that anybody else doesn't like. And I have a different viewpoint on that. And that is we should be allowed to talk about anything that we want to talk about without being attacked. I didn't go in to pro Joel Osteen things and say, oh my gosh, Joel Osteen is the Antichrist. I mean, come on, people. And it's the same thing sometimes that we see when people want to say something that they don't like about Donald Trump. I know people love Donald Trump, and it's great. Love him. And follow him as your president. I really admire the man and love the man for what he's doing. And I love that he's my president, and I voted for him. But if you say something that is against Donald Trump, I mean, not being disrespectful and saying something about, he doesn't have enough empathy, or doesn't, she's not wearing the right shoes, or, he said this about Charlottesville, blah, blah, blah. You can go ahead and say it. I may have a different opinion. I may not like it, but I'm not going to come in and attack you, or at least I hope I'm not. I hope that, you can go ahead and you can say what you want. I'll say what I want. And we can, at the end of the day, we can just agree to disagree. But it leads me to believe sometimes that the world is upside down because of that. Because we can no longer just say what we want to say. And I can't remember anybody in the past, speaking about a pastor. Not everybody's going to agree with that pastor. There are certain pastors that you like better than others. There are certain pastors that people don't like. And that's okay. Pastors are not God. The president is not God. It's okay. It's not blasphemy to say something and have an opinion. And in this case with Osteen, I didn't even have an opinion. I really didn't. I put on what I observed, and I was accused of having an opinion, not having an opinion, and hiding behind the people on Twitter. so okay. You're wrong, but all right. And then I got accused of being whatever, spreading hate because I defended myself. We can't be this way, people. We can't be this way. We need to allow people to enjoy the right to speak and have an opinion. If you don't like the opinion, you can do one or two things. You can make a comment and you can leave. You cannot read the article or whatever it is that you don't want to read. It's fine. It's okay. And the world will be okay. Now, what I don't know if the world is going to be okay from is the fact that some on the left, those the most liberal on the left, have been coming forward and saying things that really we should be hearing from those on the right. And that's why I think that the world's so upside down in that case. What am I talking about? Nancy Pelosi. Now, Nancy, lover or hater, most people don't like her. You know, they just don't. Even her own party, you know, they wanted to replace her as they can do. They have a right to do that. The DNC has talked about her, you know, on and on and on. Well, and most Republicans, I don't like Nancy. I don't like what Nancy talks about or what she says. But, you know, Nancy has the right to say what she wants to say. And I have a right to comment about it. But Nancy came out and said basically that Antifa, she called out Antifa and called out their violence and said it needed to stop. And she did that after watching what happened in Berkeley. Now, I don't know about you, but I would have expected somebody from the GOP to come out and to denounce what they saw in Berkeley. But no, we had Nancy Pelosi doing that. See what I'm saying? How upside down the world is? Not only that, but we had the mayor of Berkeley, that you know is a Democrat. It's California, okay? So practically 99% of the people that are in the leadership in California are Democrats. I'm exaggerating the number. I'm just being sarcastic, but you get my point. The mayor of Berkeley comes out and says these people should be classified as a gang. These are gangs. Well, I disagree on that in that, no, I don't. They aren't a gang, but what they are terrorists. And if, you know, a terrorist doesn't have to be somebody from a foreign country that comes in to do you harm, or somebody that is a homegrown terrorist. You know, that's not the definition altogether of terrorism. Look it up in a dictionary. Look it up online. Basically, it's anybody or anything, you know, that is done to bring terror and fright and fear to you. And that's what Antifa. I mean, I don't know what else their function is other than to overthrow the government of the United States. Let's not forget that function. And I'm telling you, they are communists. We've talked about this before. They're communists that have said they want to take out the president and the vice president. Okay, that's overthrowing the government. Why they aren't arrested for that, not sure. Maybe they will be. I know supposedly the DOJ is investigating for civil rights violations and things like that, and hopefully they're investigating for a lot of other things that Antifa is doing. And I know out of Berkeley there were 13 people at least from Antifa that were arrested. And they have posted 11 of the 13 pictures. And, believe it or not, they are unmasked. That was sarcasm again. But these people need to be stopped. They're communists. They're terrorists. And the president has on his desk a petition with over 300,000 signatures on it that say that the American public wants these people designated as terrorists. So I hope when he has some time, whenever that is, that he looks at that, he responds to it, and maybe does it. Makes them a terrorist organization. And they're already, I mean, they've got things already planned. In November, they plan to go to just about every major city in the United States and do kind of an Occupy Wall Street type thing where they just go there and plant themselves there until they get what they want. And what do they want? They want the removal of the president and vice president. They're saying now, their little chants, no Trump, no wall, no USA at all. You know, and you know, again, how this isn't treason, sedition, I have no idea. Why people aren't being arrested for that. I mean, maybe it's so antiquated. People say, well, I don't want to do that. But see, what these people want to do is they want to take over the United States. They want to take over the government. And part of the rules of communism is to take over and replace the state. Remove the state. Remove the government. And that's what they're doing. And once they do that, what else will they do? Remove the Constitution of the United States. That's their other goal, and that's what they will do if they have the opportunity. And so what that means for you and me is there goes our government, there goes our Constitution, there goes America, there goes the legal process, there goes anything that we ever knew about America and love about America will be gone. Now, do I think that's going to happen? I think if we let these people go, we're going to see civil war in the streets. A huge potential of that happening. And you're certainly going to see, it's got to be martial law. There has to be, if it's allowed to continue and fester. They should be stopped now. They should be stopped every time they break a law. They should be stopped by being designated as a terrorist group. They should be not allowed to gather and assemble because they are a gang, as the mayor wants. I'm taking it a step further, because they are terrorists. They should not be allowed to gather and assemble and have First Amendment rights. You know, the First Amendment, you can have those First Amendment rights to assemble, to freely assemble, until you're doing things like terrorism and gang violence. Then you lose your rights. There are restrictions that are on the First Amendment and all the other rights that we have. You can't just go do whatever you want to do. You can't, you can't break laws in doing that. We have to call them out for it. We have to get the president to see that they need to be designated as a terrorist group. They really do. But I see these other people, these people on the left, that are now coming forward and calling out Antifa, when our group, our side, should be doing that. And they're staying silent. Not a good thing. Even Feinstein, speaking to a group of people, Senator Dianne Feinstein, the most liberal, next to Nancy, the most liberal in Congress that I can think of. The two, Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, a couple of the most liberal ever, okay? Feinstein said about the president, I think he could make a great president. I mean, stop the presses, right? It's like, wait a minute, the world's upside down. What's going on? Did I just hear that right? Yeah, you did. You heard that right. Now, the way I'm going to know that the world has really gone upside down and insane, out of control, spiraling out of control, is when Maxine Waters comes out and says something about Antifa or about this president and how great he is. Then I'm going to know that we're just like upside down. Now, I have my theory on why this is happening. There's been a lot of talk in the DNC and it's liberals in general. We need to have a new message. We're not doing well. We're losing seats. People aren't responding in a positive way to us anymore. What are we doing wrong? You have to give liberals credit because, again, they do things very subtly and they just take, one foot in front of the other and they just keep going. They never quit. And at a moment's notice, they'll change their plan. They'll change their agenda if they think it's going to benefit them. They'll scrap everything and do something new. Probably one of the reasons they wanted to scrap Nancy Pelosi, because they wanted a new message, and they felt that she wasn't the one who could deliver it anymore. So the way I see it is they've come together and said, you know what? People love this president. They love Donald Trump. And we can't fight this. The more we say things against Donald Trump, the more they love him. And the more seats we lose. So what are we going to do? We're going to start, yeah, I know, something that the liberals, the progressives, communists haven't been for so many, many, many years. What are we going to do? We're going to start moving towards the center. We're going to come away from the far left and start heading towards the center. Now, why would they do that? Because they can start sounding more rational, more reasonable. And they can say, you know, Antifa is a horrible group, and they should be prosecuted. They should be called gangs. They should be stopped. You know, whatever the case, whatever the new message is. And if they move towards the center, then the Democrats who have said, I don't even recognize my party anymore, will start saying, well, you know, they're starting to sound reasonable again. That's kind of the way I'm thinking. That's not so bad. And then the people on the right who think that the liberals have lost their minds totally will start saying, well, that sounds reasonable. That could possibly be. That's not so bad. Maybe I should look at the Democrats again. And maybe the Democrat Party is not so bad. Because sometimes the GOP, I don't understand them. So my point is, this could very well be their agenda to try to start sounding reasonable, to start bringing people into their party. And we'll know that for sure. Again, if Maxine Waters comes out and says something positive about the president, then you will know absolutely for sure, number one, that the world is upside down. And number two, that what I've just said to you is absolutely correct. And you'll know that it's all an agenda. It's all a ploy to try to make people feel like, oh, okay, the old Democrat Party that you used to know is on a comeback. And for you Republicans, we're not so bad. We can be reasonable too. And let's face it, we have some people in the Republican Party that just need to go. And I'm not saying replace them with Democrats. Oh, no. I'm saying we need some people on the Republican side that can be reasonable. Jeff Flake in Arizona needs to go. No doubt in my mind, he needs to go. He has been against this president. He continues to be against this president. He needs to go. Kelly Ward seems to be a really good candidate. And I'm sure she could step in and be loyal to the president and do a great job. Loves veterans, loves Arizona. I would vote for her if I were in Arizona. And Paul Ryan, he needs to go. Absolutely, no question, needs to go. He's not been supportive of this president. He's not loyal to this president. And every chance he gets, he undermines the president by coming out and speaking against him, just like John McCain. You know, you didn't have to come out and talk about what he said in Charlottesville. You didn't have to do that. You could have supported him and said, you know what? He talked about everybody, and he included everybody into the wrongdoing, which we are now. I mean, I saw it then, and I agreed with him then, but he was right then. And we're seeing it right now, and even people like Nancy Pelosi are starting to see it because they're calling out Antifa. They know that Antifa is just as wrong and horrible as any white supremacist could be. There's wrongdoing on everybody's part. And so Paul Ryan, no, he knew, Paul's sitting there going, we're pretty close to election time, and I'm not going to be able to support the president on this. So I'm just going to go with my, the white supremacist line that we should go with, and have a nice day. Okay, so let's replace him with Paul Nealon. I think Paul is an, upstanding guy, practical sense about him, has run businesses, done documentaries, well-spoken. I think he should get in there. So you people in Wisconsin, you have a choice. You can vote for Paul Nealon, or you can vote for Paul Ryan again and keep bringing him in and keep hearing him talking about the president, and not in a good way. So it's up to you. But we have to get these people out. They are a poison to the GOP. They are standing in the way of what this president is trying to do. And I know that I've talked about this before, but I just feel that some of the people that are surrounding the president right now don't have his best interest in mind, and maybe, I know, and don't have our best interest in mind. Maybe for the president, maybe some of them do and they just appear they don't. I don't know. But I'm still not pleased with McMaster. I'm still not pleased with some of the things that I'm hearing about John Kelly in preventing people from speaking to the president. I know Seb Gorka, it came out saying that he wanted to hand his resignation letter to the president and talk to the president, and he was denied access to the president. I know the president's a busy man. I realize that. But I think, when his administration comes to him and wants to speak to him, time should be made for those people. Because when you stop doing that, then it makes me wonder, are you isolating him? And I'm not alone in this. Other people think the same thing. Are you trying to isolate him so that you can turn him into the president that we didn't vote for? Do you want him to be more of a globalist, like the people that are surrounding him? And I hate to say that, but McMaster, I think Tillerson, Dina Powell, Gary Cohn, they're globalists. You have his daughter Ivanka, Democrat. Jared Kushner, Democrat, who's also taken money from George Soros for investments. Now, you can have your own opinion about that. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking. You've got Dina Powell and Gary Cohn. They're both Democrats. I know people have said it, and I've said it. I didn't vote for a Democrat to be in office. Now, maybe a lot of this is just our supposition. Maybe we're all wrong about this. I hope so. But I know McMaster has a policy that's similar to Obama's when it comes to foreign policy. You can't even say radical Islam. He says ISIL. Tillerson's not denouncing CAIR, C-A-I-R. So I think we need to just keep our eyes on those type of things and to make sure that we, the people, have the country and are on the right path that we want to be on. We have a great president. We have a great president who is trying to do everything he can to help this country. It's obvious every time he goes anywhere, he says anything, he's trying to help the country. Yes, does he have people on the left who absolutely hate his guts? Yes. Will he always? Yes, he will. And we have to stop focusing on those people. Doesn't mean that we don't listen to know what they're saying, but our focus is on how we move this country forward. How, as the president said, we bring people back together. Because let's face it once again and be honest, that the Democrats under the Obama administration did everything they could to divide us along racial lines. And they're still trying to do it. And the mainstream media, they're helping, and they're still helping. And we're going to see that. So we have to get out there and show people who America really is. We have to get out there and support the president. And that's why a lot of times, I write articles that are in opposition to what the liberal left are saying. Why? Because I like being attacked by liberals? No. Because I think it's important for those people, let's say, who are on the fence about, do I go with the Democrats? Do I go with Republicans? What do I do? I want them to be able to see the truth. The truth as I see it, the truth as many see it. And I want them to have a choice. I don't want them to just look at the liberal left and go, oh, okay, well, I guess it's true because I don't see anybody in opposition to their statements. I'm the opposition to the liberal left's statements. And sometimes that puts you in a bad spot. Well, you know what? My God and my country are more important than me being in a bad spot. And that's why I do Knowles on the News. That's why I do my other shows, Stand for Truth Radio on Mondays. That's why I do my morning weekday shows at 11 o'clock on Facebook Live, YouTube, and also on Periscope. Because I think it's important for our message on the right to get out there, for more people to see it. You know, if we don't, I'll tell you what, here's some of the other things that are kind of going on because we've got so much on our plates, so much that is happening. But the left is continuing to try to take over your airwaves, to take over your television programs that you watch, to take over your children's minds, if you will, to teach them that certain things are okay. I'll give you an example. AMC has a show called Preacher. I've never seen the show, not going to watch it, but it's in its second season. And it's co-produced with other people, but one of them is Seth Rogen. You probably know him. He's an actor. He's a comedian. And an all-around great guy. No, anyway, he came out with this show called Preacher. And there was a recent show, an episode that was called Dirty Little Secret. And again, I didn't watch the show. I've had to go to different websites to find out what that was on the show and things of that nature because I'm not going to watch trash. Just not going to do it. But in the first 7 minutes of this particular episode, the Jesus Christ character has sex with a married woman. And apparently you can see the silhouettes of them in different positions having sex. And this is the first 7 minutes of the show. Now, the premise of this show is supposed to be a dark comic book series. And it's of course fiction, but it's on TV. And after they have their, sex acts performed, the Jesus Christ character turns to the woman and says, let's keep this a secret because I have to go do something for my Father. And what he meant was, referring to was God and to the Last Supper and the crucifixion. Now, if you're like me, it doesn't get more blasphemous than that. And I know some people say, but all you have to do is change the channels. Yeah, all I have to do is change the channels, but it's not going away. Even Seth Rogen said, I can't believe they actually let us kind of like get away with these things. He was surprised that AMC would air it. I'm surprised that AMC would air it, except in this day and age, nothing really surprises me anymore. And as you might expect, the Church of Satan came out and said, great job, keep up the good work. Now, if that's not enough for you to know that's blasphemous, I don't know what else is. There's a petition of a group. If you go to susanknowles.com and you read my article on it, there is a petition circulating asking for AMC to remove the show and to also apologize. Again, I think there was a good, it was a day and time where you could say, just turn off the show. You don't have to watch it. But there is and I hate to use this term, but it's a grooming process. And Americans are being groomed. You're being groomed by the TV you watch and by things, I'll just leave it to TV, but TV and movies. It's telling you that this is normal, that you're the one that's not normal. Everybody else is okay with it. You're not, so therefore maybe it's you that has the problem, not everybody else. And I know people have told me they watch the show. And this is back when it started, when it was in the first year, they were watching it, and things seemed a little bit like maybe you shouldn't be watching this. Isn't really like what I'm thinking, but okay, I'll just keep watching. And so, they get sucked in, and they keep watching and watching, and a year goes by, and then all of a sudden, wham, they get hit with the dirty little secret episode. And at that point, you're either so fully in, you just stay, or you say, gosh, I don't know about that. I'm kind of questioning, should I be watching this or not? In my opinion, and that's why I wrote the article, it's trash, it's garbage, and it's a way to have you give up your Christian principles. It's a way to push your thoughts about right and wrong a little further back, so that you start to let your borders, that your boundaries slide a little bit. Like, okay, well, maybe I can watch this. Maybe it's not so bad. And it just keeps going back and back and back until finally you get something, to me, as in my opinion, as blasphemous as what AMC is putting out. And your children and your grandchildren are watching that. And I know people are saying, well, that's not true. I don't allow my children to watch that. I hate to tell you this, but your children can go to somebody's house and they can watch it there. People record things. They can watch it there. Also, there's the internet. There's the internet for them to go and watch any episode that they want of AMC. And probably by now, it's out there on YouTube as well. So during the age of when you could protect your children from saying, I just won't let them watch it, those days are over. And they can even watch it on their phone when you think that they're, texting their friend or whatever. It's getting harder and harder for parents to do their jobs as parents. And you know what? That's part of the agenda. That you just kind of shut up, parents, get out of the way, sit down, and we'll take it from here. And a lot of people saying, how do we stop it? And it's very difficult. You stop it in every time you see something that you think is against your biblical principles, you have to say something. You have to speak out. You have to stand up. Do you want that other job? It's a full-time job. Do you want to do it? No. Does anybody want to do it? No. But if you don't do it, who will? If you don't do it, then everybody else will think it's okay. And that's exactly what they would hope would happen. That it would be normalized, that everybody would say, this isn't so bad. Look how many people are watching it. It's a hard job. I feel bad for you parents. I really do. Because your hands are almost tied now. And somebody else is teaching your kids. But I'll tell you what, I'm here with you, here to do everything that I can. That's why, again, I do these shows. That's why I speak out in my articles. That's why I do everything I can to make these issues public. Because, again, as Christians, as humans, as Americans, and even our friends from Canada, who I know watch this show, we have to speak up, because you're as much impacted by it as we are. And the shows that, we see here, you're probably watching them there and have your own shows just as bad. So, let's continue to stand up. Let's continue to speak out. Let's continue to pray that the blasphemy and the evil stuff that we're seeing will, by God's will, be brought to an end. Because as Christians, we know that in the end, that we do win. And let's keep doing what we need to do. Let's keep staying together. We're not a country that's really divided. We're divided only by those that would have us believe that we're divided. People in America love each other, and we always have. So thank you so much for being here today. Until next time, God bless you. Everything is going to be okay. God's in control. He's still in control. He's still on the throne. Until next time, it's Susan Knowles for Knowles on the News. See you next week. Take care.